Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Pokemon Stadium run. I'm Druzy, and today we're going to be taking on the Pokecup Great Ball level using only rental Pokemon. Today, I decided to not use the team we used in Pokeball before, but to mix it up a little bit. So we're gonna obviously still use Dugtrio here. I love using Dig, but I'm also going to add Persian because Slash is amazing in Gen 1. It has Stab with Persian and it's guaranteed to crit almost every single time. There's a small chance it doesn't, but it is fantastic. We're also adding Kadabra and Slowbro to today's team, and the last couple spots are a little bit trickier to go with. I am going to end up choosing Electabuzz though. It seems to have an interesting moveset. Thunder Punch isn't a great electric move, but it's worth something. And then I'm not really sure what to use to round out the team here. Jinx was really good last time, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. And with that, let's get right into the Great Ball action. This time, we are going to be starting off facing a Biker. I think we did last time too. But, you know, most of these Pokemon are going to be weak to Psychic, so I think this is probably going to be a pretty quick one. And we're going to lead with Kadabra because it knows Psychic, and Psychic stab moves are going to probably sweep this and make this battle very quick. We're going to obviously, as I mentioned, lead with Psychic, and I'm still familiar enough since the last time we played to know exactly what combination of moves that is, so we don't even have to open the menu there. And it's a one-shot on Nidorino. We knew that was probably going to happen, and I think it's going to probably be the same for his entire team here. Next out is going to be a Nidorina, and I think that it's a very odd-looking Nidorina. Got some really strange eyes there, but I don't think we're going to have to be looking at it too long. One more Psychic, and let's see what happens, but yeah, super effective. It hits, and that is a one-hit KO. Now we are just one Pokemon away from getting our first badge and getting off to a perfect start, quite literally, earning another continue in case we need it as Machoke comes down. And now we're going to go with Psychic once more and see if we can complete this sweep. 3 Psychics, 3 hits, I hope, and it does hit. That's super effective. That's also a one-hit KO, and Kadabra has started us off very, very well and very, very quickly here in the Great Ball run. Just like we did in the Pokeball version, we're going into this completely blind, other than knowing what my own Pokemon movesets are, knowing that they're going to be a little bit better than last time just because I've played this now and I understand a little bit better about how to set up a team in the Pokecup. However, I don't know what these opponents' trainers' moves are, I don't know what the Pokemon they are, until we actually get to them and face them in battle. I think that keeps it a little bit more interesting and keeps me on my toes a little bit more. I don't really want to spoil this too much, and I don't want to get into a place where I can really plan everything ahead, so I think that takes some of the fun out of this. I'm kind of re-exploring these Pokemon Stadium games as we go here. Anyway, as we're now facing a Rocker, we're going to be coming out leading with a Dugtrio because he had so many Pokemon that were weak to ground moves, and he's leading with a Voltorb. And we went for Dig, but he sets up a Reflect, which actually was a perfect play there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get the one-hit KO now. We hit with super effective damage, but it holds on, so it means we would have done probably 200 damage there if it wasn't for the Reflect. Clearly would have been enough for a one-hit KO. But we're not taking too much damage from that Swift, but I have a feeling he's going to probably use Swift again if we go underground. So I guess we're going to have to find out because I don't want to waste a turn with Hyper Beam depending on what comes out next. There were some grass types that could be really scary for Dugtrio, and Swift gets a critical hit while we're underground. That's a little bit frustrating, but hopefully it won't come into play too much as we finish off the Voltorb. Now, it is Gen 1 Reflect, so that means that we aren't going to be dealing with a Reflect for the next couple of turns as his next Pokemon comes out, and that is going to be a Gloom. Okay, so it's not too bad. I mean, we are going to potentially be facing some grass moves here, though. So I think we're going to be going for a Dig and go for neutral damage here and hope for a crit or something else. So Gloom goes for Petal Dance, which probably would be enough to knock us out at this point. But since we're underground, it's going to miss clearly. And now we're going to come up on the next turn and we're going to hit a dig, and let's see how much damage we're going to do here. We do get the crit. That's a little bit lucky, and it's enough to take out the Gloom. I don't know if that would have been enough without that crit. I don't think it would have, so we probably got a little bit lucky there. And now we're on to his last Pokemon, and it's an Ivysaur. I think we're going to probably go with the same strategy here again. Go for Dig and see what we can do. I mean, maybe we swap into a Jynx or Kadabra? I don't know. I think let's go for the swap. I think it's going to be a little bit safer. Let's try to play for the continue. I don't think I want to press my luck to try to get 2 crits back to back with Dig. So with Dugtrio now out and Kadabra now in, we see that Ivysaur goes for a critical Razor Leaf, because critical hits with Razor Leaf are almost guaranteed. Again, not quite as good as Persian and Slash, but that is still going to do a ton of damage. Ends up doing under a half to our Kadabra though, so we come out with Psychic, we hit hard, it's super effective, and it's enough for a one-shot. Kadabra is doing awesome so far. It has had 4 attacks using Psychic every time, and every single one has resulted in a one-hit KO. That is an absolutely fantastic KO rate. Keeping track at home, that is 100%. We now get another continue and another perfect battle, and that means we can move on to battle for the Thunder Badge here against a Juggler. He's got a decent mix, some ground types, fighting, some psychic, a ghost. That's a really interesting mix. I don't really know what to go with here. Ooh, I mean, there's so many options we could really go with. Dugtrio is always a solid start because it has so much speed. Persian might be useful here. I don't know. Maybe Kadabra, Slowbro. There's so many options. It's taken a little bit of time here. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a weird playthrough here. As I said, this is the first time I'm going through this, so I don't really have a great strategy in place right now. But I think Jynx probably gives the most coverage here and gives the most options overall. It has ice coverage in case they went for the rock types. It also has psychic, and that is going to be very, very useful against the Haunter as we get a hit, and it is a critical hit, super effective. That's going to be enough for a one-shot. Psychic again coming through for us today. It is doing amazing things. 5 times, 5 KOs. I don't think we can rely on that forever, but it is a fantastic start. Clefable is now out against our Jynx, and I think we're going to probably go with either Ice Punch or Psychic here. We're going to lead with Ice Punch, hope for a freeze. I don't think Psychic was going to be a one-shot anyway, but we do just about a quarter, as Clefable goes for a counter, which cannot hit us unless we use a normal or a fighting move in Generation 1. It's really not a great move overall, and so again, we're going to Ice Punch this thing, and we get a crit this time, and it takes it down to 9 health. Clefable now starts using Metronome, and it gets a weak Water Gun. It does get a crit, but still not going to do too much damage to us. Now we're going to finish off the Clefable using one more attack here. We're going to use Psychic because Psychic has been doing so well for knockouts, might as well continue that trend, and we get a crit in the process. That is awesome. It is fantastic. 7 Psychics, 7 knockouts. Even though that last one was a little bit cheap, we'll still take it. Graveler is now out, and this is where Jynx, I think, will shine again. I think we can use Ice Punch, and it might be enough for a one-shot, because Graveler doesn't have great special, and Jynx does have amazing special, and with Stab, should balance pretty well, and it does. That's another one-hit KO, and Jynx made very short work of the team that it was facing. I was a little bit surprised. I mean, I think it really worked out well that the Pokemon we chose worked out very well against that team. But as you see, we also had Kadabra and Slowbro in the wings waiting in case we needed them. But with another perfect win out of the way, we can now move on to face the Beauty. And she's got a lot of water types, but also some rock types in there as well. He even has the dual rock water type, Omanite. And we know Omanite is pretty okay, at least Omastar is if you've watched my recent videos. Omastar, the solo run in Pokemon Yellow, was a ton of fun. Absolutely loved doing that video. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out. It is on the channel. You can also search for it. You can do whatever. You know how to run YouTube. But anyway, I am really excited to see how Slowbro does. This is the first time we've thrown out a Slowbro in this challenge, and we're going to be facing off against Krabby. Probably not the best one to start out with, but I think our Psychic should still be okay. But Slowbro's slow speed does come in to hurt us here as Krabby goes for a double team. That's a bit frustrating, and yeah, it misses right away. I hate facing double team trainers. It's probably worse than if we actually had our accuracy lowered because we can't do anything now. Krabby goes for a stomp, but it's not doing much because Slowbro does have good defense. It is really bulky and really tanky, but it can't hit Krabby, and that is very annoying. We're definitely going to need to hit this thing at some point to knock it out, and it's going to keep hitting Stomp, and we could also flinch from Stomp, which would be incredibly annoying if we did get that. Let's go for Psychic again, and finally it does hit, and it's a one-hit KO. It took a while, but again, Psychic keeps up the knockout streak, which is fantastic. And now we can move on to the next Pokemon, and let's see who it is. It is Omanite. Let's see what Omanite does here. I think we're going to probably go for Psychic again, and it's going to go for a double team too, so that must be this trainer's shtick. Must be trying to use evasion strats to try to just make this as annoying of a battle as possible. But luckily Slowbro hits and connects, but for the first time Psychic doesn't get the knockout. That means that the Omanite has 60 HP remaining, which would be a 2-hit KO more, 3 hits in total, unless we do something different. Well, let's go for Psychic again. Maybe we get a crit, maybe we get a special drop, which would, we did get the special drop, which means we didn't get a KO, but we did get it to lower its special, so any damage it does with Surf, because that's all it's been using here, is going to be much less in addition to us resisting it. There it is, less than 20 damage. Now we have to hope our Surf hits, and let's go for a knockout, and somehow the water hits it, but it missed entirely. I guess it is a water Pokemon, so it just chills out under the water as it hits another Surf on us. Now, we are starting to take a little bit more damage. All that chip damage is starting to add up, and we're now under a quarter health. And we missed another Surf. Man, Double Team is so frustrating. It's one reason I don't like using Double Team in my own solo challenge runs, because it can make really weak strategies look really strong, but it also is very inconsistent, and it just feels kind of cheap to me. So that's why we don't use it. And luckily, we're able to get the Omanite to faint now after we finally connect, although Slowbro is now down in red health. The Beauty now only has one more Pokemon, and it is Graveler. Hopefully, we can outspeed here, because if we can outspeed, we can hit a Surf, and that will end this very, very quickly. Unfortunately, we obviously aren't faster than a Graveler. It hits a double team, and we're now going to hope that Surf hits, and it does. That's gotta be a one-shot, and it is, and that's another perfect battle. Slowbro made it interesting. Those double team tactics were quite frustrating. I hope that those don't continue on when we get to Ultra Ball or Master Ball, because that could be very frustrating if we're going to be dealing with evasion strats and we're not going to be able to hit. I don't even want to think about that right now. For now, we are halfway through this cup. We have 4 of our 8 badges, and that means that we are on the back half of the tournament, and we're starting against the medium here, who has ghost types, water types, some normal types, a little bit of everything actually. You know, this is another one where it's interesting to see how do you match up against this. There's a couple Pokemon that if I lead with the right one, it could go really well. If I lead with the wrong one, it could go very poorly very quickly. One thing that makes Stadium really interesting, you can't really plan for a consistent battle every single time because the AI will choose different Pokemon each time. So with Jinx out, we're going to go for Psychic against Haunter. We saw this earlier. Let's see how it plays out. the exact same as before, another super effective critical hit, one shot on the Haunter. Jynx is probably been one of the MVPs of this run so far. I know Kadabra has done a lot of work too, but Seaking is out next. Now, one thing you might notice is that our Pokemon are all level 50. Our opponent's Pokemon are not all level 50. The Seaking is level 51, for example, and that helps it tank the Psychic a little bit better. But you'll also notice that every now and then you see Pokemon above level 50. Some of them are still 50, but the AI in the Poke Cup ends up leveling up their Pokemon throughout the battles. So in Great Ball, they have a little bit higher. I'm assuming Ultra Ball is very similar, and Master Ball, they're probably all almost at the cap. The way the rules are set up here is that you need 155 as your total level cap. So anything under that is okay, but I could end up throwing in a Pokemon at level 55 and 250s, a couple 51s, and something else. You can really play around and make a lot of different combinations there. Doesn't matter here as Seaking gets knocked out, but that is something to keep in mind, and it is something that makes these other runs and these other tournaments a little bit more difficult. As the other opponent gets more and more strength, we have to still use the same level 50 Pokemon. While that doesn't always end up making a big difference, sometimes it can, and I think it will be frustrating later on when we get to that point. Now, as we check out Lickitung's huge tongue that apparently gets longer when it uses Supersonic, we are now confused, and it is not looking too bad. We're still at full health and we're one Psychic away, but we end up hitting ourselves in confusion. I do love that animation as we get confused and then we just smack ourselves apparently. We get hit with a Seismic Toss, which means we're in 2 hits of getting knocked out, but hopefully we can break through confusion here and hit a Psychic. Not this time, clearly, and now we're in range for Lickitung to hit us with a Strength, which is going to probably knock us out. Yep, there it goes. That's our first Pokemon we have lost in this run. It did take us over 16 minutes to get to that point and into the back half of the tournament though, so I'll take that as still a very positive thing. Kadabra's coming out now. We saw that Jynx did huge damage with Psychic, over half, so I'm guessing that Kadabra will outspeed here. It is so fast, and a Psychic from Kadabra should be enough to take out the Lickitung and get us another win. There it is, and the knockout. Lickitung is now down, and we are now moving on to the next round of the tournament. Kadabra has been fantastic so far, and I think I said before Jynx is the MVP. After that loss, I think I'm going to have to give it to Kadabra so far. There's still a lot to go for though, as we still have 3 more battles to go. Now, we have 4 continues. Hopefully we don't have to use any of them, but you never know. We are in a very good place though. The Tamer is now out, and we have possibly another Lickitung, but these other Pokemon are just a little bit of a weird mix. You've got Marowak, you've got Eradicate, a couple other weaker Pokemon with Diglett and Eevee and a Ponyta. I think Slowbro is probably going to have to be on the team just for coverage, but we're going to lead with Kadabra just because Psychic has been so good for us so far. It's not shiny, but it's a weird color Lickitung comes out. I love that Pokemon Stadium doesn't have all the Pokemon look the exact same. Sometimes they have different appearances, they look a little bit different, and it just makes it kind of cool. It kind of brings in a little bit of interest, and that every Pokemon doesn't look the exact same. So, got hit with Toxic, so this trainer must be trying to go for some poison strats then. So, I'm hoping that it doesn't make too much of a difference, and we can get through the team pretty quickly using our Psychic attacks with Kadabra. And we do just that as we knock out the Lickitung. And now we're going to have to wait and see who this Tamer throws out next. So, with the wait now over, we now see it is Marowak. Okay, so maybe we need to get something here. Let's go for a Psychic. It's probably the only move that we're going to ever use with Kadabra, to be honest. And we go for it, and it hits. Probably not going to be a one-shot. It takes it down to red health though. That's a lot more damage than I thought it would do. And Marowak uses Blizzard? I didn't realize Marowak could learn Blizzard. Wow, and a crit on top of that, but still, I did not realize that Marowak could learn Blizzard. It's a ground type Pokemon. What is it know? What is it doing learning Blizzard? Anyway, we get the knockout here, but I'm still hung up on the fact that Marowak can learn Blizzard. That might be interesting to do when we get to Marowak at some point in the Pokemon Yellow version solo runs. It's such an interesting move though. That's gotta give some weird coverage there. Anyway, with enough about Marowak and Blizzard, we're now up against Ponyta, and we could go for Dig. It would be super effective, but Kadabra has weak attack, and we're gonna hit it with a Psychic instead, and we get a special drop. Does over 100 damage, and Ponyta retaliates with a Stomp, which is enough to knock out Kadabra. I think that poison damage probably came back to haunt us a little bit there, although our low defense might not have made a difference here. As you can see, we also brought Jynx and Persian into this battle. I decided to go against Slowbro even though I mentioned it before, because I think Persian, with its speed and Slash, or Bubble Beam here to cover some other fire types, will be enough. We're going to go for Slash, it's going to be a crit, and it's going to knock out this Ponyta. Every single time it's going to crit because of how crits are determined in Gen 1, and with the stab on top of that, that is going to do so much damage to almost any non-resistant Pokemon. So, with that, we unfortunately did not get another perfect win, but it is still a win, and that is our 6th badge as we've now earned the Marsh badge. We're now 2 more trainers away from a championship, and we're going to need to take out the Psychic to move on. There's a lot of Psychic Pokemon here, so very well named, but also mixed in a Pidgeot and a Fearow as well. So I'm gonna probably lead with Jynx here, but Electabuzz also could come into play with the Thunder Punch that we were talking about earlier. We're gonna lead with Persian though, because a lot of those Psychic types are a little bit slower, and they also don't have great defense, and that's where this Slash is going to come into play. Fearow is out first, and we're going to lead with that Slash, and as I mentioned, it is so powerful here. Look at that. It does almost 100 damage to a Fearow. Now, Fearow is pretty strong overall, but it retaliates with a strong Drill Peck. We're just about half health from here. However, we outspeed, so a Slash should be enough to take out the Fearow, and we will find out if it does. As long as we hit, we don't get the very, very rare chance to get a 1 in 256 and another on top of that 1 in 256 miss because of how they've done the misses in Gen 1, and they got rid of that in Pokemon Stadium. So that's how they fixed it, is if you get a Gen 1 miss, you have to get another Gen 1 miss back to back, basically. We don't get that here, but it is a weird quirk, and I probably will mention almost every video because it is something I find so fascinating. As Mr. Mime's out, we do huge damage, but not enough for a one-shot, as it retaliates with Thunderbolt, and I think we'll tank that, and we do. Although we do now sit in red health, we're going to be able to finish off the Mr. Mime on the next turn with one more Slash. Persian is a little bit not on the tanky side, but it does have decent staying power. I'm a little bit surprised with how well Persian is doing in this tournament ever since it's made its debut. I think it'll probably be a staple of the team moving forward actually, because I do really like that stab slash move. Abra's out now, and I think all we have to do is outspeed, and that should be enough to take out this little armadillo. We do outspeed, perfect, and that's going to be enough. We're going to hit it with a slash, and that should be a one-shot, and it is. Abra goes down, and that is a perfect victory once again. We earn one more continue, and we should have plenty to get through this run in case this last trainer is pretty tricky. Hopefully it's not, because we are making fantastic time to this point. We now only need to win the championship, and we have 5 chances to do it. That should be plenty, as we are now in the final battle. Old Man has a Dragonair and a couple other mid-level Pokemon, mid-stage Pokemon. I'm guessing he's going to probably have his Dragonair. maybe he throws out a Wigglytuff, maybe a Charmeleon, get a little bit of balance. I really don't know how they choose their Pokemon, if it's completely random or not. Might be something to look into. If you know, let me know in the comments below. It might help out with the future videos as well. We do see Dragonair coming out though, and we're going to lead with Kadabra because it does have great speed and it can use Psychic, which has been so helpful for us so far. We hit Psychic, it tanks it pretty well, but it's still going to be a 2-shot. It uses Thunder Wave. Ooh, please don't hit. It does hit. That could be a little bit of a problem here. Paralysis is going to make us slower, so he's going to have a chance to hit us. Fire Blast isn't the worst thing to see. It could miss, but it doesn't. But Kadabra's high special should help us out quite a bit there. We now move, we break through Paralysis, and that's going to finish off the dragon. And we're off to a great start here. And now we've got one more Pokemon down and one more Pokemon closer to a championship. Wigglytuff is out next. I have done a fantastic job of predicting what they were going to use. I am thinking that we're probably going to get outsped. Yes, we will. Double Slap, could be worse things. We got hit twice. Ooh, it did a lot more damage than I was expecting. If we got hit with more of it, fully paralyzed, I think Kadabra might not be around much longer. Double Slap again. We get hit with 1, 2, and only 2 times again, which is pretty lucky. If we would have got hit 3 or 4, we would not be around anymore. We'd be swapping to a new Pokemon. However, we are able to get off a special drop with our Psychic. So we're in a pretty good place here, and that also did about half. So we bring out another Pokemon with a Psychic or just a special move in general, we should be fine. That was a 3-hit Double Slap. Luckily, it doesn't matter. We were going down with a single Double Slap at that point, and that means Kadabra's down, and we're going to need to bring out either Jynx or Electabuzz. I included Electabuzz because it hadn't been used in the team so far, but we're going to bring out Jynx. We're probably going to outspeed, I would think. We're going to go with Psychic here, and it's going to hopefully do enough to get the knockout. That special drop should play a big role here, and it is enough. That's a knockout. We now have Jynx and Electabuzz in our team. As long as we can outlast his last team member, we're going to be walking out of here with a Great Ball trophy. Parasect is out now, and I think we just guaranteed a win here. I think we're going to be able to use Ice Punch, and we're going to be able to do massive damage to this oversized mushroom insect thing. I don't even know what it is. And it does over 100. Slash is going to probably do big damage to us as well. It crits, of course, because it's a high crit move, and it does over 100 damage. So this thing is pretty dangerous, actually. But as long as we don't get one of those super rare misses, and we don't, we have now knocked out the Parasect, and we have made our way back on top of the Poke Cup, this time at the Great Ball level. And our time is actually a little bit faster right now than we were in the Pokeball. I think part of that is me being a little bit more familiar with the game, but also we got some really good luck with some clutch critical hits early on with our Jynx, especially against the pair of Haunters that we faced. So with that, the Great Ball trophy comes down from midair. We clear it in a time of 27 minutes and 32 seconds. That is faster than we did in Pokeball, but still not by much. I think that's probably a human error factor. I think if I was to replay Pokeball and Great Ball many times, they would probably come in about even overall. But anyway, that is our tournament for the day. Things went pretty well overall. Now I am going to take a look and see, how do we compare Great Ball to the Pokeball tournament? Overall, I think Pokeball is a little bit easier than Great Ball. I think we just got some good luck. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Pokeball just below the Great Ball in terms of difficulty, and I guess we'll see if that continues moving forward. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and tune in next time when we take on the Ultra Ball level of the Poke Cup. I think that's going to be much more challenging, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm Druzy, and I hope to see you again soon.